Hi, Connie. So we're here today to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of the first female partner in CC London. And so, as part of those celebrations, I'll be interviewing you to get a bit of insight into your career and to discuss some general tips and tricks that you might have for females coming through the profession now. But before I hand over to you, my name is Amelia Hirst. I'm a third seat trainee completing a litigation dispute resolution rotation, and my last seat was a banking and finance rotation, and I'm based in Perth in the Australia office. So with that, I'll hand over to you to give us a bit of an introduction and explain your route into law and into CC.
Thanks, Amelia. I'm Connie Heng. I'm the regional managing partner of Asia Pacific. I've been with the firm for 21 years. I joined the firm in 2000. I'm originally from Singapore. I'm based in Hong Kong, and I've lived in Hong Kong now for about 22 years. So it's been a long time. Amelia asked about my route into law. It's actually by accident and by chance. Law was never my first choice. Way back, I opted to study economics and finance. And by chance, I got into the law school in Singapore, the National University of Singapore Law School. And my parents being very practical-minded, second generation Chinese immigrants in Singapore, they said, well, as a professional, you won't have any concerns about finding a job. So I guess I took their advice and decided to do a law degree. And so I was still thinking about doing something else after the law. And then they came in and said, well, why don't you just do your training and get qualified? Why not? And I thought, okay, why not? I joined a firm in Singapore to do my training, after which I moved to Hong Kong. And that was, I guess, when I decided actually what I thought I might be better at, numbers, isn't really the case, and I quite like the law. And again, it was by chance that I got promoted, I guess. I shouldn't say it's by chance that I got promoted.
I don't think it's by chance at all.
I wasn't thinking very hard about aiming to be a partner in the firm, because even though I decided, after joining, I joined Herbert Smith first in Hong Kong. And after 2 years, I moved to Clifford Chance. And at that time, I still wasn't thinking of making the law a permanent, lifelong career for myself.
Wow.
But it was, I guess, sometime in 2004 when the partner I was working for, said to me, Connie, we're going to promote you. We're going to put you through the process. And I was very surprised. And at that time, I remember saying to myself, me, really? Am I good enough? There are so many other better people out there. Why me? And all these doubts came through, right? Looking back, I probably tell myself, I was very silly and I should have been more confident. I guess it's a long-winded way of saying, a lot of people may feel that way when the news is first broken to them, but people should, women in particular, should feel more confident to say, yes, why not? I deserve it, and I should be put into the process.
That actually leads perfectly into the next question I wanted to ask you, which you kind of already covered already. But looking back on that experience, and not just the promotion to partnership, but more generally, what advice would you give to your junior lawyer self, looking back on your experience?
Yeah, looking back, I would say, don't skim on the time you invest building your network. I wasn't very structured in building my network, so I would keep in touch with clients I enjoyed working with, working for. Over time, they've become friends. I wasn't that structured in terms of, making time to go for coffee or go for drinks. And indeed, for many female lawyers in particular, at a certain stage in life, they may need to juggle many different roles. For example, having kids, having young kids, juggling a career, and in Asia, quite often maybe having to take care of elderly parents or parents who are aged and having medical issues, and I think there are a lot of that puts a burden on people's time, and I think that it's well worth the time to think of networking and getting to know people in the industry as part of building your long-term career in the industry. Now, even if you leave the legal industry, there are a lot of contacts that you make that could be supportive or could be beneficial, because the people you meet now, they will get more senior like you, and as they get more senior over time, you'll find that once you're mid-career, later part of your career, all the people you've met, the contacts you have made in the early part of the career, they are all now very senior people. And it's so easy, it's much easier to rebuild, reconnect with people if you've actually had made the contact with them earlier on in their career. Yeah.
My next question, Connie, is a sort of a more broad question. And it is, how can women at the firm at all levels, both fee earners and our business development staff, ensure that they are being considered for all opportunities? And as an extension of that, when those opportunities arise, how can you make the most of those and make sure that you're getting the right opportunities, and when they come, how can you sort of make the most of those?
This is a complex question, and I guess it's slightly different at different levels. But I think what I would say though is try and think a step ahead. Think a step ahead of, for example, I guess Amelia, in your case, you're a graduate lawyer. Think a step ahead. How would I think, or how would I operate if I'm a newly qualified, I'm a first-year lawyer? Put yourself in their shoes. So I would say think ahead, think of what opportunities that you would want, and then that I think could frame how you think of which opportunities to embrace, or which opportunities you should go and seek at your level, right? So I think one step ahead. This was a piece of advice that a senior lawyer gave to me on my first day as a trainee. He was much senior. I think most senior partner in the firm I first trained with, and he said, when you're a trainee, think like a junior lawyer. When you're a junior lawyer, think like a senior associate. And when you're a senior associate, think like a partner. The other thing which is quite important is you can think about the opportunities, but when they come, you need to embrace them, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's, and it kind of relates to the mentoring program, which we've just implemented here in APAC. And in these sorts of scenarios, this is where I think having a really great mentor who can uplift you is so important. So Connie, on a final note, my last question is around the firm's target to reach 40% female partnership by 2030, which extends throughout our firm structures. And I wanted to know how you think these targets can be reached, and what practical measures the firm is putting in place to reach these targets, and how you can tie in your personal experience and how that might have changed leading up to 2030.
Yeah, let me start by saying I think having a target is really important, because it's there to remind us that we're not just saying it because it's International Women's Month or Women's Day, but we are we really mean what we say, and that is something that hangs over our head, and we are going to get there. I think it's important to have the target in mind, and having a target without doing anything else, I think, is where we're bound to fail. So
of course,
I think there's a lot that the firm needs to be doing, and it's actually taking steps to address that. So I think for a start, mentoring is very important for women in particular. Having a mentor also promotes stickiness in the firm. If some of our female colleagues are feeling anxious because they have to take time off to take care of their kids or to take maternity leave, in Asia we have started a program called maternity coaching, which is really to help our associates and business professionals and staff to understand what it means to go on maternity leave, what conversations do they need to have, and how do they speak to their clients. So I think that's important. Then I think in a more structured way, we need pipeline planning. We need to look at the pipeline, because female partners don't just appear from a pool of senior associates if there aren't enough females in the pool of senior associates. So it's got to start from the graduate level, the recruits, the trainees, and we look at holistically over the time, how do we pull our female associates through the ranks, retain them, keep them interested. Some female lawyers may feel they need to take some time off in a holding pattern, while to take the pressure off while they focus on maybe a number of things, having, because some people might not want to have too many balls to juggle. It's up to the individual, but and we are supportive, but to actually have that conversation, be open about it, and then plan the pipeline. And then I think there are also other forms of support that we can give our female lawyers, such as communication training. How do you do the elevator pitch? I for a start, very bad at elevator pitching. So I think how to stay visible, how to have more contact with senior partners and others who visit their office. We need to create through for example, the Accelerate program. There are spotlight sessions. It's really a more structured way for our female lawyers to network and get to know senior people in the organization. It's really important. Also, I think there are other programs that we could consider, such as for example, agile working, so that we're able to keep our female lawyers and staff in the organization.
So on that note, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and interview with me. It's really important for me as a junior and for other juniors to have these kinds of conversations and to see them. And for me, something I've always said to my colleagues at the firm is, for women, you can't be what you can't see. And for me, you really are that. And to see someone like you operating at your level and doing such an amazing job it's really exciting. It makes me really excited for my future at the firm. So thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you. And I've really enjoyed our conversation. Well, I hope in years to come, there will be so many role models, so many other women and senior levels, that it's not the exception, but the norm. So I really hope that day to come.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.